Alright guys, how's it going? Yeah, right, yeah, well, I thought I'd make another video for you, try and get back into the swing of things without trying to get too deep and emotional and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? Because it's just a bit annoying. Like, someone said to me the last time I made a video in this room, why have you got a shrine to Carl Rittenhouse on it? It's not a shrine, it's just about something that I'm involved with, and it's like, these are up there to jog your memory and stuff like that. This is the Kenosha courthouse in Wisconsin that I visited on many occasions last year, but on 2 trips last year. I'm a bit nerdy, you know, when I'm not following football and that, I watch a lot of US criminal trials, you know, and yeah, it's a long story, you know, for another day, but I got quite involved with this trial. More than 3,000 people applied for access to it after the trial concluded, to people, to various things, and I was selected out of 3,000 people. I was the only person, and I got to meet the judge. And if you were to go to dunk.es, which takes you to my profile on Mastodon, liverpoolfootballclub.social, you could do it that way if you want. You'll see the picture of me and the judge from that trial, who is now a friend of mine. And I don't know, like, normally on a day-to-day basis, I'm sat at my main desk, you know, with all the cop talk monitors and everything, but it's just, I'm trying to escape it a little bit, so I've come to this room. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that, you know. So it's not a shrine, all right, it's just something that I'm involved with. So, we'll try and keep the video short. You know, my videos are usually long. I've posted some information on the Cop Talk members website today, VIP members website, which has been a bit, it's been a bit manic on there recently, to be honest with you, you know, people arguing and stuff like that about FSG and everything. But I've already done one video on this, you know, like about the support staff booked in to work late on deadline day. But there was another one that I wanted to talk to you about, which is a quote. I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous video. I think I might have done, actually. But I've just posted this on there a few minutes ago. There's the post. And it's the post is titled Absolute Panic. And I alluded to this yesterday, you know, like I was going to say something about this yesterday to people. I'm sure I mentioned it in the video that I didn't publish yesterday. And I'm sure I mentioned it in the video I did publish today, but just in case, I've got a little bit more on it, and also some stuff to do with more Salah. And then we might speculate a little bit towards the end, okay? So I was unable to elaborate on this further yesterday as I was waiting for more details, even though absolute panic is kind of easy to work out what it means. Now, two different, I've made a spelling mistake. I need to correct this in real time. Different, let me just change that, thank you. 2 different sources, one employed within the club, as Rafa would say, one retired, have both informed me within hours of each other, this was yesterday, that there is absolute panic within the club regarding concluding potential deals, plural. There is an emphasis on this, plural. This isn't a, you know, a slip of the tongue or someone saying, oh, there might be deals and that. Someone has said to me, 2 people have said to me, that this is regarding concluding potential deals, plural, all right, ahead of tomorrow's deadline, which we will be live on here tomorrow from 9 o'clock in the morning UK time, right through to the window closing, providing you can keep me awake, do you know what I mean? Otherwise, I'll probably go, I'm sick of this, I'm depressed, you know what I mean? Like, so we're going to have a laugh as well. Now, you might not like this bit. Again, I'm sharing this with you guys because I think it's important. And, you know, this is from the members' website, and normally I don't do that, but I think this is important. And we really need to desperately come up with some content away from all the negative stuff, although this, anyway. Again, the message is that John Henry, has again expressed his dismay at why nothing is happening. It's not for me to say whether he's to blame for that or not, or it's ironic, etc., that he is complaining, but it's a statement that's been reiterated to me. And you know I've dug in about this. So I dug in about this over the Caicedo situation. Before John Henry turned up in England, I believe somewhere, I don't know if it's in videos, podcasts, or on the members' website, that I expressed, I said that there'd been, I like to be specific with what I say. I said that John Henry had expressed, or hit the roof basically, the shit had hit the fan. John Henry had apparently, had expressed his anger or frustrations that why was things not happening at Liverpool in terms of recruitment when the money is there to do it. Now, whether you want to believe that or not is up to you. Whether you believe that John Henry really said that, or the money's not there, or it's all PR, or it's all a big, whatever. I'm just telling you what someone said to me that I would trust with my life, that's been with Cop Talk for decades, all right? And they told me that John Henry hit the roof in some kind of video call or conference call, and I believe, if my memory serves me right, that was on a Monday. I can't remember, and maybe the Caicedo bid went in within days of that. I don't know, I can't remember. But the point is, at that time, I said that John Henry had apparently hit the roof, and then the same week, I believe, he turned up in England. It kind of fell into place for me. And it's been reiterated again that John Henry is, displeased. And I agree with you. Well, you're at the top, you're the what there. I agree. I'm just telling you what's being said, all right? Whether you believe him or not, or, whether he, I don't know. Everyone seems to think that they're not bothered, FSG, but Henry, he's supposedly barking from Boston, right? So he's apparently like, what? In other words, why the fuck is something not happening? Why is this not happening? John Henry must be getting briefed on stuff, and he's saying, why are things not concluding? You could say because you're not giving the money or the result. I don't know. That's just all that's been said. I'm not a Twitter ITK. I can't elaborate further. We'll just stick with the real stuff, right? Now, with regards, Mo Salah, as Fabrizio Romano would shout and fucking scream, I'm also told that Salah will, I'm also told that Salah will be going to Saudi Arabia. It's just a matter of when, not if. Now that could mean this year or next year. The club are aware of meetings between his agent and some chap in Saudi Arabia. I'll find his name and report back, because at the time I didn't know the name of this person. Now the name of this person, the follow-up to this, I've put the suit in Saudi Arabia, is Michael Emenalo. I'd never heard of him before, but apparently he's the Saudi Pro League Director of Football, and Rami Abbas, Mo Salah's agent, Liverpool Football Club are aware of alleged meetings between him and Emenalo. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever read anything from this guy. I literally had to I typed his name into Google as I thought he spelled it, and it corrected it, did you mean? And it turns out he's the Saudi Pro League Director of Football. But I don't think there's any surprises there. I think that you would expect Mo Salah's agent to be doing that in the background. But Mo Salah's agent has a lot of things to say when it suits him, or when he's shit stirring or taking shots at the Liverpool manager. But from what I understand, he's been a little bit quiet recently for a couple of weeks. I don't know, he could have tweeted in the last... I don't use Twitter anymore, really, to be honest with you. Certainly not at the moment. I'm finding it very draining. We're on Mastodon. I know it sounds like a strap-on, but it's not. It's a Twitter rival. And if you go to a web browser and type Liverpool Football Club.social, it will take you to our Mastodon. And you can sign up there, follow @Dunk, @CopTalk, @Admin. There's a lot of people from the comments on here and it's a much more, there's no toxicity, it's very sensible, there's no Twitter ITKs, there's certainly no top reds on there, so it's going to be worth it for that alone. But it's not all football, you know, you can talk about what you want on there, as do I, if you follow me on there. So I don't think it's any surprise that Rummy Bath is talking to them people. Now, it got me thinking a little bit. Now, I'm entering, like, now, this part of the video, I'm entering, like, I'm speculating, right? So what I've said to you prior in this video is I believe to be factual because I trust who's saying it to me. You make your own decisions as to whether you think it's factual. You shouldn't be watching my videos if you don't have any trust. If you don't trust me, I don't see what I gain from it. But the next part of this video from now forward is going to be speculative. So when I was told what I've just read to you, it made me think, why is John Henry flapping? Like, why is he barking from Boston? That was the exact term that was used. John Henry is barking from Boston, which obviously means shouting and raising his voice or whatever. Or maybe he's not raising his voice, I don't know. Bloke don't look like he's got a fuck in him, does he? So I don't know if he can shout anyway. But I don't know. This is not getting personal. Anyway. So it made me think, why? What's the crack? Like, what's different this year to any other year? You know, like, if you're the owner of the club and you're disappointed at the lack of incomings or business being concluded, what can that mean? You know, if we're to take this as it's been truthful, right? So I sit and I think about these things. What can that mean? It means, if you believe it, that the money is there for deals to happen. So, which is an echo or a reiteration of the Caicedo situation at that period before the Caicedo bid went in, whether you believe it to be genuine or not, was we were told that he was barking then, why are things not being done? And almost imminently a bid went in for Caicedo, like as if to prove a point, really. Like, we know the money is there, why is nothing happening? And maybe they had a conversation, but we've had no indication that he wants to come to us, you know, like he wants to go to check. Just make the fucking bid. You know, that could have happened because many of us are like, we don't understand it. You don't bid for a player unless he's expressed a desire to come to you, right? Because what's the point? You guys, some of you guys, when I say you guys, I'm not being patronising, it's just the way that I speak. You know, some of you guys have said, no, it's just all a big PR. It's not PR, it's not. It just really isn't, guys. But there is something more like to it that doesn't add up. I accept that. There are times when they do use the media to, you know, maybe portray something and that. But if you're really going to believe that, you know, what would they have done if their bid would have been accepted? Not pay it because it backfired? I don't believe that. You could argue, and I'm sure some of you will, that, well, they knew it was never going to be accepted. You just don't know in football. To me, was it a case, this is speculating, was it a case that John Henry was angry? Why have you not made a bid? Why would not? Well, because he wants to go to Chelsea. Just table the bid and see what happens. Yeah, but John, just table the bid. I don't know. Maybe it would explain why this bid was made. I try to find answers, and I'm trying to bounce discussion off you. You know what I mean about that. So that was one thing I thought about, and there was something else as well. You know what my memory is like. So the next thing I started thinking about, because there was information, you know, provided about Mo Salah, was it started to make me wonder, it started to make me wonder if John Henry is desperately wanting to see numbers brought in, players brought in, because what happens when you sign a player? The mood in the fan base changes, right? And it's a good distraction. You could be doing anything, you know, like you could be calling for FSG out. Some people, most people that are FSG out will stick to that even if they sign fucking Mbappe, do you know what I mean? They're adamant and they're going to stick to their opinions and whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. I stick to my opinions. They could sign anybody this week and I would still say FSG out. I'm telling you, I don't like them. So I wouldn't flip-flop on that. But when you sign a player or two, there's the fans in the middle, or maybe that are not as deep as some of us, that would be like, they then become, you know, distracted, or, oh, good, you're great, yeah, and all that, right? And if Liverpool signed some exciting players before the transfer window closed, it would soften the blow if something happened that you didn't want to happen. So it made me wonder, and this is pure speculation, nobody said anything to me about this, it made me wonder if, for the last few weeks, why John Henry was getting a bit tetchy, allegedly, if that happened, that he was trying to get someone in, you know, we need to get someone in to sell Salah. That was something I was thinking in my head. And it would make sense as to why that, you know, bid for Caicedo went in. Like, if we get him for 150, we've never bid any money like that ever for anyone. Get him in, sell Salah for 150, you know, whatever, 160, anything, right? You know, and the fans can be soon brought round a little bit, because then it would be, and I understand this, and then it would be, we can't turn down, you know, these kind of fees for a player at that age that's going to leave anyway, right? So even if you hate FSG and you don't fall for any of their bollocks, right, you kind of have to understand it. You would, guys. I'm sorry. We can go down this route of, no, nobody's, you know, it shows a lack of ambition. Well, we know there's a lack of ambition anyway. And yes, you know, I saw an article by James Pearce the other week. I didn't read all of it. Sorry, I'm getting a message and it's important that I read it. Hooray, crank the flange. That's throwing me right off. They're saying the owners... Oh, see, this is... I need to stop reading messages, but that could have been about Liverpool. Oh, dear me. Right. I know you're sat there going, don't go to the rest. So we're talking about John Henry and Salah. Basically, let's just go back to the Salah thing. So the fans, FSG out. You've got to understand. Oh, right. So then, right. The man, James Pearce, I saw the article by James Pearce that said, Liverpool, there will be a time to sell Mo Salah, but now he's not it. That was basically the little blurb on his article. And that made me angry, because I thought to myself, hang on a minute, why can't Mo Salah stay with us until he hangs up his boots? You know, why do we ever have to sell him? You know, and FSG have this, like, they try to buy players that are young enough that can be sold later, you know, resale value, which is, if you think about it, Jurgen Klopp more or less confirmed this when he was talking about Endo the other day, that we would have liked him before, but we couldn't, we weren't allowed him, sort of thing, because he was too old, and now he's even older. But we're going off on track here. What I'm trying to say is that if, you know, a ridiculous amount of money came in for Mo Salah, a player that has every intentions of going to Saudi Arabia as things stand, when that will be, I don't know, you can understand why the club would go, oh, we're going to have to fucking take it, you know, unless they can somehow delay it and agree something in principle for next year, which is possible. But my opinion, right, and I'm usually right, DKB, don't know best, right? My opinion is that I think that John Henry has wanted to see some positive signings coming in, which would explain the panic bid for Caicedo, because they've been thinking about selling Mo Salah. And they know if they sold Mo Salah today, that you lot would go absolutely mental. Not me, because I'm trying to not get caught up in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just a little bit sick of it at the minute, but it'll come back when the window closes, I'm sure. You guys keep me going, sane, do you know what I mean? Like, if it worked for you guys, there's no way in the world I could fucking talk about it. But I just feel that, you know, the frustrations that are apparently coming from Boston are because, you know, not so much like, we need these players signing because we want to win the league. I don't think it's that kind of frustration. I think it's the kind of frustration, which I'm only speculating about, that goes along the lines of, we need some players in because we want to sell this fucker. That's what I think. And I might be completely wrong. I doubt I am. I might be completely wrong. And we'll know about it later. We'll check the members' website, because people might be chiming in with opinions on this. No, they haven't yet. So that's interesting. There we go. Sorry, I'm replying to messages at the same time. Next week, okay. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say, really. What do you think? Do you think there's a possibility of that? Do you think that's why John Henry might be getting a little bit like, he's being like, we've got a chance to cash in here? But the thing is, can you blame the club if they sell a player in excess of £100 million at that age that's going to leave anyway? It's very hard to criticise them for that. It is. I know that you'll probably come back with and say, well, that's all very fine and well, but then you need a replacement done. Is that why John Henry is going mad, saying, find us someone, find us someone? He might not be kicking off saying, why is deal ABC not over the line? He might be saying, where is deal ABC? Why are you not finding someone that's going to take the pressure off when we sell it? Because these fuckers, because these Saudi Arabians, right, they're willing to break the bank. And we like the sound of that. Do you know what I mean? It makes sense. I think I'm right. The more I think about it, the more right I think I am. But I'm speculating. If I was a Twitter ITK, I could be peddling that shite and attracting a lot of interaction and discussion with it. I'd rather be honest with you and say I ain't got a fucking clue. But that's what I think's happening. That's why I think John Henry's flapping. I don't think he's flapping because he's genuinely concerned that we won't have a swag, as Rafa would say. You know, good enough to compete on all fronts. I think John Henry's thinking, we need you to find someone because we're going to make some money out of this. Now, if Mo Salah isn't sold before the Saudi window closes, then it looks good, doesn't it? They'll just turn around and go, well, we ain't got it, but you know, we would never sell Mo Salah, you know what I mean? It makes them look good, and it's a big distraction as well. But I'll tell you this, if Mo Salah's agent, Rami Abbas, is out there with this big cheese, why is he doing that? You know what I mean? He must think it's possible of it happening, so someone's having a word somewhere. Otherwise, he would be saying, you're wasting your time, fellas. They're not going to sell him. Nothing's going to make them move. But what he'll be saying is, they like the Wonga. They like the Wonga. They're more bothered about finances and their asset than they are winning things. And that, all right, maybe that's harsh on Fenway. Maybe they're supposed to have a reputation of winning things, but I think the money comes first, like. So that's it. That's what I think. There you go. All right. I don't think there's anything more I want to add to that. I would understand it if my football club sold an ageing player, no matter how. You could turn around and say there's another 2 years in him. Yeah, but if he wants to leave, if he was going to push for a January exit or next year exit or whatever, you're going to lose substantially anyway. And you could argue, well, they should have a replacement lined up a long time ago. Yeah, but how do you know that this was going to happen with Saudi Arabian football and that? I think John Henry, I think he's got every intention of selling him. And that's why he's putting people under pressure to find someone. But is that going to happen? I don't know. Or is Rami Abbas working alongside the club or the owners or whatever and cutting people out and trying to do something? Do you know what I mean? If you think that everyone at Anfield knows what's going on, you're deluded. Do you know what I mean? It's you know, it's like in any business you work for where one department doesn't tell another department and all that and cut people out, you know, need to know basis and that. I'm very suspicious about it all, guys. I'm really suspicious about it all. Quite frankly, I don't give a fuck because that's how I feel right now. But I know you do. I know you do. And you're lucky to still be in that place because I miss my football, you know, I miss what it means to me. But it'll come back when something decent happens. Yeah. Okay. That's it. I hope you've made some sense from this this video. I don't want you to panic, and I don't want you to stick the knife in on the owners just because I'm speculating about something. It's just that when I hear rumours from people I trust, I try to decipher what they could mean. And the good thing about this is a two-way conversation. So I say this to you and you come back. I read every comment that's posted on here. And sometimes I read something and think, I didn't fucking think of that. You know, or you might just say, no, you're chatting shit, Dunk, and then I'll go, right, okay, it's not that then. So, what do you think? Why is John Henry suddenly bothered about Why would John Henry suddenly be bothered embarking from Boston about a lack of quality, as Rafa would say, in his squad? Why? What's he worried about? Is he worried that he can't then, you know, capitalise on this situation? And do you know what? There was another thing I thought about earlier, and this is going to be really tin for it, like, you know, like conspiracy theories. And I don't like to do them. But again, I've had a lot of time sitting around, you know, recently, not wanting to make videos, thinking about what the fuck is going on. And something else I was thinking, I thought, and just hear me out, right? I'm not putting this out as a serious, like, this is what I think. It just crossed my mind. I thought to myself, are they deliberately not spending, you know, and cashing in on people because they're thinking to themselves, like, let's just say we, you know, let's just, would you say FSG have spent more, you know, have they invested, or have they been more selling this summer? So far, I would say more selling. So the sold players, they might spend money. You know, if Casado had been accepted, that's a lot of money, I get it. But some people would say, well, it was never going to happen. And there's something might happen, we're speculating. I just something came into me head, and I haven't really thought about this too much. But I thought, are they kind of like saving as much money as they can, cashing in as much as they can, because they're thinking, well, we're not going to be here next year anyway, next fucking season, it don't really matter what happens, they can kick off as much as they want because our plan is to exit? Or is that just wishful thinking? It's a bit like when you might buy an house from someone, you know, sometimes you hear someone say, I bought this house, and they've took all the fucking socket things, light switches, they've even took the fucking light bulbs, which I guess in business is asset stripping. Now, I'm not suggesting full-on conspiracy, like, let's sell everyone and like, let the place burn, you know, because we're not going to be here. But it just makes you wonder if it's a case of, fuck it, we're off anyway. It does make me wonder a little bit. So I am conscious that there has been some rumours about stuff like to do with sales and that, but I'm not, you know, possible sales and that. And I would imagine or predict October might be a little bit too soon. I'm going before the end of the year. I'm going November time, I reckon. Maybe late October, early November or something. I'm going with, we're going to see like chatter about the club being sold again. That's what I think. My head is full of all sorts of ideas. And I'll be honest with you, 9 times out of 10 when I really think about it, they all come true. And this is why I think ITKs are a myth, because I think a lot of it can just be, you can work it out in your head. Maybe you can't, maybe you've got more important things to worry about. But I've been here since the 1990s, so I get to know a lot of how it all works. And I've met a lot of people to do with the club, agents, journalists, business people, and you learn, and from experience, and I can't think of what the word is, but just understanding that you can actually predict a lot of what is going to happen. And this is what ITKs do. I just don't think they're as intelligent and knowledgeable as me, just saying. What I mean by that is they usually go with a 50-50 statement. So they'll make a prediction based on, well, it either will happen or won't happen. And they tend to leave it to the very last minute. So I imagine, and I don't know, that there's a lot of people out there now that consider themselves ITKs that are saying things like, Liverpool are definitely trying to make Ravenberg, you know, Ryan Ravenberg, whatever it's called, work, you know, because it goes by common sense, you know what I mean? Like, so tomorrow you're probably going to get them saying terms have been agreed, because it's a 50-50, they're either going to be agreed or they're not, and they will have already been agreed anyway at this stage. They'll have been agreed a long time ago, hypothetically. And then they'll start coming out with things about the medical, like, oh, he's on his way, if the medical's booked in, you know. And if it doesn't happen, they can backtrack with, you know, or something changed, because that really does happen in football, something changes. So they're just using a bit of guesswork. And I guess what I'm saying here is that sometimes, and I admit it, you know, I sit there and I think, well, what is happening, you know, because it's not always someone on a phone or a text message emailing you and telling you something. It's not. And I do have, I prefer to say friends rather than sources or contacts, but it's not what people think. There's no one that rings you up and goes, psst, Do you know what I mean? I mean, you do get good stuff from time to time, but it's completely different to it was back in the 90s and 2000s, because you've now got foreign owners and they're not based in the city, so chatter, you know, there's not a lot of chatter because they're not going out on a weekend and getting wankered and trying to shag every bird going and showing off to it, you know what I mean? So it's a lot more harder to get stuff today, but sometimes if you sit there and think and monitor everything that I do and know who's connected to some of these journalists, you can predict it. Well, I can, and I'm usually right. So I know when a certain journalist starts squawking, I think, the first thing I think is who said that to him? And then I'll think, what's he saying? And you can follow a chain. So sometimes you can actually, I don't want to say too much, but sometimes you can know about a relationship that a journalist has got with someone that might be quite prolific on Twitter. I'm not talking about a nobody on Twitter, I'm talking about someone that's maybe associated to the club, or if you know a family member, and you can piece it together sometimes. So if a journalist is saying something, and I've got an idea of who is feeding that journalist, I often know where to look to see people who might be relatives or something, and to see their mood as to what they're tweeting about, which most fans probably wouldn't know who they were. And you can see the pattern, and that's when sometimes I'll read it and I'll go, it's all falling into fucking place now. This is what I think will happen. You know how many times I say to you, right, I think Paul Joyce will appear Monday, Tuesday, and then he appears. So I am hands down admitting to you that a lot of it is guesswork and putting it together, but not like an ITK. It's based on knowledge and experience of who knows who and who's saying what, and you can try and put them pieces together, dot them things together, you know what I mean? A lot of it is trying to work it out, which is what I try and do with you and your comments back to me. It makes me sometimes think, yeah. So like now I admit, you know, I'm speculating as to why, you know, two people, one employed, one retired from Liverpool Football Club, have said to me, John Henry is barking from Boston. So that is what you would call inside information, right? But it stops at that point. So I have to try and work out with you, why is he barking? What the fuck does that even mean? The same as when you see articles or a claim, and I always say to you, because this is what I do, is why am I reading this? Who does it benefit? Who, you know what I mean, guys? Maybe you don't like me waffling on like this, but it's better than being depressive, and I have been very, I hate using the word depressed because there's people out there, well, I've got fucking depression, I don't care, I fucking have. So there is people out there got genuine things going on in their head, and I'm definitely one of them. I'm a bit like that, like a roller coaster. I can be hyper 1 minute and the next just not in a good place. And it's not just football, there's a lot of things going on, you know what I mean? And that's why you need football to escape it, you know what I mean? To escape and to be happy. And you know when things are not going right, and then Liverpool are on and then they beat Newcastle, you go, I don't give a fuck anymore, because you're happy. You know what I mean? Liverpool, it brings your happiness normally. So this video is nearly 45 minutes long, and it would be the 5th video that I didn't publish. I'm definitely publishing this video. I've recorded 4 videos now, 45 minutes long, and I asked everyone. So anyway, I've given you plenty to chew over. I hope you like the video. If you do, please thumbs up. I appreciate if you would leave a comment, especially into any of the questions I've said as to, you know, why is John Henry barking from Boston? Why this year? What's he barking for this year? Or another thing you could say is maybe because they've appointed Boy George as the new sporting director, and he's gone, right, okay, we'll give him the job, and it's not worked out. Maybe he's angry because of that, saying, you told me he was going to have it all sorted, and he fucking hasn't. It could be that, right? You should think about human nature. We are all human beings. So people react, you know what I mean, if they're disappointed. I don't know. I have no idea about that. But sometimes we have a video like this, and 6 months from now we look back and go, you were fucking right. Not that it matters whether I'm right or wrong, but you know what I mean? Yeah, that Rami Abbas, him, wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. But then again, it's his loyalty isn't to Liverpool Football Club, you're right. His loyalty is to his friend and his client, Mo Salah. And if they're selling for a ridiculous amount of money, I don't think you can really blame them for doing that. And I know you're not going to like me for saying that, but there has to be some reality in there. I'd fucking sell anyone that don't want to play for us anyway. I don't trust any of them. That's it. Right, so your thumbs up. Drop me a comment. Hit the love heart button. I've not had many. Well, I had some love hearts yesterday. They were nice. It's nearly weekend. We're going to have an ease up on here on Saturday night, I think. I think so. It's really hot, guys. I like it when we get so much to talk about, you know what I mean? All right, I'm off. I'll speak to you in a bit. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.